So for step 3, the rear gearbox. Well, we need to grab a few things off the parts tree. You've got D4, D5, and D7. We need those because they're going to go into either side of the gearbox when we close it up. And then, of course, we have our screws and our washers. Now, that MA6 washer is a bit thicker than a normal washer. And then, of course, there's our parts and our flange nut. But there's one interesting thing. It's showing you AG, thread lock, separately available. I'm not going to be doing this because I don't agree with thread lock. I know there's other people that will say no, there's other types. I don't use thread lock. I do not like to be in a situation where if I've locked everything up and then I want to get into it, and then you've got thread lock, which will make it a nightmare. I know there's a blue thread lock and there's a red thread lock, and there is a difference. I just choose not to. So I will just make sure that that's nice and tight. The funny thing is, I am also building a Super Saber, and the instructions are identical to this, other than there's a couple of pieces that look a bit different, but there's no suggestion of thread lock there, and it is the same gearbox. So again, I'm going to be leaving this out. So anyways, I'll set this up and let's put this together. So let's grab this side of the gearbox, and you can see that we've got D7, and in terms of the positioning, that's got to go into the hole just like that. So it's going to sit like that. Then you've got this piece here, so that is going to sit there facing forward. Now this will be interesting putting it together, trying to hold all this. And then we have this piece right here, which is going to sit right there between the two gearboxes. And again, this is going to be interesting putting it together. So we have these three pieces, and then this all has to fit together. So let's do that. So we know all this has to go in together somehow. So if I sit this up, I want to make sure that that is going in with the other. Okay, that's fallen out. So we've got to make sure that that stays together. Let's make sure. No. There. Now, I'm going to pull that apart again, because we know that's got to go in there, and we know that's got to go in there. So I'm just going to slowly push this together, making sure that everything's starting to fit. That's not quite right, so we'll lift that up. Go. It's a bit finicky. So that's got to sit in there, which it will. I just want to make sure, but everything has gone into place as it's supposed to, because you can hear it clicking around. So this one here, which was the MA3, that's the one that has to go into here, this bottom hole, and come out on the other side, and we're going to use the flange nut for that. That's fine, but first off, this one here, you can see that it's going to be the bigger screw with the washer. Let's just get that in. Bigger screw with the washer, and it's going to go through through that part there that keeps wanting to slide out. So let's just make sure that it's going to go in and through, which it is. And that one is going with a flange nut as well. So we're just going to basically, I want to just tighten this up a little bit so that it's not coming out. But gives me something to hold on to while I'm trying to attach everything else. And we know that's okay, that's okay. Okay, so then we have this one here, which was our tapping screw. And if I just see that correctly, that's gonna go up here, just like that. And I'll start that just so that I know that it's going in a bit. So we've got this one, we've got this one, and we've got the one at the bottom, which also needs that flange nut. So on this side, we've got our flange nut as well. And actually, I'm going to hold that while I screw that one in. That's going to pull things together. So ultimately, we need to tighten this one, and tighten that one. So that's what we'll do. Now what's interesting is usually I use the bigger screwdriver, but this one you can't fit the screwdriver into the hole very easily. Okay, so these ones are tight. So now you've got this piece here, you've got this piece in place, and it does move around a little bit. It's not going to be completely solid. And then you have this piece here, which isn't solid either. It's together, but you can see that it slips in and out. It's meant to do that. So don't worry if you think if it's not right. Now I noticed that these pieces popped out, which is fine. They may pop out again because they're only in there loose. Now once you have these screws in place and you've tightened them all up, the one last thing you should do in this step before going any farther is make sure that the drive line is working. Because if for some reason, by putting this all together, something moved inside or the gears aren't meshing properly and you don't check this, it's really going to be a bit of a nightmare to tear the whole car apart to go and fix the problem. So I'm just spinning everything. You can see that the drive line's working. You can see there's the joint for the propeller or for the main four-wheel drive shaft. Everything is moving okay, and I can hold one side and spin. Now, you may find this gearbox is fairly tight and maybe you're not able to get your fingers in there. The one thing that you could do is go further into the bags and grab your drive shafts and stick one in, and do it this way. Because, I mean, you can see going forward, everything's fine. And if I hold one, I can spin the other one. So you know the differential's working too. And same thing on the other side. So doing it that way, at least you can see that the drive line's working. But I'm happy with this. Everything seems to be in order. So that means that step 3 is complete. So now we're going to move on to step 4 and attach the pinion gear.